I think one of the coolest things that I've seen consistently come through from the other side is that they aren't gone and they're not separate from us, but they're also not stuck. Like, they can be anywhere and everywhere all at once, because they always say it's like walking from one room of the house into the next and just changing into your pajamas. Like, they're like, you really just change form. You're not really gone or anywhere else, but yet you're everywhere else at the same time, because you're not in physical form anymore. And so one of the things they consistently tell me is that they can share so much more of a relationship with us than they could have ever had, because on earth we often don't allow ourselves to really fully be with and see others. Like, it's really hard for a lot of people to be vulnerable, and it's hard for us to know what's actually going on in the internal world of someone else. Even if they tell us, we would have to take them at their word, right? And I think a lot of people are really sensitive, like mediums and intuitives and stuff, and I think there's people who don't use those labels who are definitely able to read between the lines and perceive and kind of just know things about what's really going on for someone else, even if they don't say anything. But I think what's neat about the other side is they say, because you're in this non-physical form, you can see people like truly fully as they are, and you have full love and compassion for them. And so you know someone so much more deeply than you ever would have on earth. And so many of them also have said over and over, when they transition, they lose what's called their ego, so their small scared self, because they no longer have a need for it, because they're not in the physical form anymore. And the ego's like sole purpose, they've told me over and over again, is to keep you alive. It's not actually to participate in like what you would call like a subjective moral judgment, though it's kind of like warped into that over time. But one of the things they said consistently is that it's really about keeping you safe so that you can enjoy your physical for as long as possible. But when you transition, you lose that. So since you no longer have a physical body to protect, there's no longer a need for your ego. And so your fears and your judgments, they just go away, right? And they're saying, because you're the non-physical and you can see and know and understand people on a deeper level, you no longer need to have judgment over others, which I think is such an interesting concept, because as much as many of us may try to practice, non-judgment and open-mindedness, and maybe even have achieved it in specific areas of our life, we still have biases, right? Like, we've evolved to have cognitive bias and moral bias, and society, it comes from societal norms, upbringing, life experience, all sorts of things. So cultural norms. And so it's really interesting to me to see that they can be with anyone and anything and anywhere at any time, across all time, dimension, space, and reality, simply because they're non-physical, and that they participate in that in complete non-judgment and compassion. And at the same time, they can see what our goals and dreams are here on earth, and whether or not those will actually be good for the larger fabric of the collective. Because they constantly say, you guys seemingly are in separate forms, but you're actually deeply, intrinsically connected, and you don't even realize it. So they come to guide us and to be in relationship with us and help us with that evolution of spirit on earth.